When it comes to Final Fantasy fashion, I think I've done my diligence at celebrating the incredible female styles that we've gotten within X-2 and Lightning Returns. And as much as I love the female fashionistas within the Final Fantasy universe, we cannot neglect the incredible male styles that we're getting within that universe as well. It might even be some of the best fashion that Final Fantasy has given us. So let's look no further than the showcase that is Final Fantasy 15. Hola, my name is X, and I like to experiment with fashion as well as talk about whatever the hell I want on social media whenever I feel like it. And in this video, I'm going to give you such a quick TLDR on the 5 main things that you need to know about the Final Fantasy 15 installment, just to set us up for our discussion on style and outfits. And then we'll move directly into talking about the different alternate outfits or attire that the main 4 guys of the Final Fantasy 15 installment are rocking with. They are on fire. But before we hop into all of that, I do just want to give a quick shout out to Will of the Fungal Network for the incredible super thanks on my Marvel Rivals fashion review video. Talking about Wolverine cosmetics, he was easily one of my favorite X-Men when I was a kid. I think they did a great job with his default so far. So glad that you're also digging his style and really appreciate that incredible contribution that you made. But I always appreciate anybody who is watching as much as they can, leaving thoughtful comments and subscribing. Really healthy growth on this channel, so thank you, and I hope that you're supporting your favorite creators, especially small creators, because every little bit goes a long way in this YouTube game. But anyway, I hope you enjoy the video. All right, here are the 5 main things that you need to know about the Final Fantasy 15 installment. What I think makes Final Fantasy 15 so unique story-wise is the emphasis of brotherhood between the 4 main characters, Noctis, Gladiolus, Ignis, and Prompto. While like any sort of Final Fantasy game, we do still get the typical concepts like political struggle or challenges, magical destiny, tragedy even. And I feel like in other kind of games, we get like a mix of genders and sexes that are kind of thrown together in order to resolve those central concepts. Or maybe in the case of like X-2, if it's a little bit more derivative, it kind of took a bit of a different approach, which I also loved that. This kind of does that just in the male version and form, but it just feels a little more down to earth because it feels like 4 brothers like going on a road trip trying to just reclaim a kingdom. It feels a little bit more grounded in something that's real, and I think that we even see that extend as far as the clothing, which is why I'm excited to really get into that. Speaking of road trip, I think that 15 introduced the concept of a bit more open world or open-endedness that is certainly also different from other Final Fantasy games. While there has been like wide terrain for people to explore, like maybe in 12, I would say, I feel like this version is just a little bit more kind of modern, or meets the kind of benchmark as far as open world exploration and just overall scope of a game. And that idea paired with real-time combat that isn't limited towards like some sort of time-based thing like 12 was, makes this even more dynamic, more riveting, more empowering. And so that's a big reason why I wanted to play this game. I still have to get my hands on it. And building on that open world, open-endedness is the different kind of summoning approach, which in this case, it's astrals. And I saw plenty of clips of the incredible summons that take place, just how it impacts the terrain, the incredible like radius and space that these astrals take up. It just feels so grand. They're like these huge titans, and they don't only add incredible graphics, visuals, and gameplay mechanics to this experience, but they also do add some richer lore because they're really tied to Noctis and his journey as a main protagonist. So I really thought that innovation within the summoning component was a really great contribution to the installment. And with such an immersive and much more broadened and open-ended gameplay experience, it's no surprise that there was a nearly decade-long development journey behind Final Fantasy 15. It was originally announced in 2006 as like Final Fantasy 13 Versus, but I think that they did enough with Final Fantasy 13. I think that they really beat that kind of title over the head. So it's good that they took a step back and just really revamped the approach and elevated so many different components of the game. Not that I know how like it was originally supposed to work in 2006. And even though that kind of set them up for some high expectations amongst gamers, I'm not sure if it really whet everybody's appetite, but I do think that they went in a very strong and creative and definitely highly developmental direction with this installment, setting it apart from many of the other games, if not all of them, within the whole entire Final Fantasy franchise. And kind of double tapping on the storyline and Brotherhood component, there's even like a transmedia project called the Final Fantasy XV universe that expands some of the story and some of the lore behind the game and the whole kind of workings of this story within the form of an animated series called Brotherhood that looks at the 4 main characters and their backstories. And then we also have a CGI movie called Kingsglaive. I don't think that I've seen either of these pop up on the streaming platforms that I look at, but I'm definitely interested in tapping into these. Similar to Cyberpunk 2077, how it had like Cyberpunk Edge Runners, I think that having some sort of alternate media to dive into can really help you better appreciate not only the characters, but the overall work and passion poured into the specific project and installment that was developed. So definitely looking forward to covering those, but really now more intrigued to kind of understand a bit about this brotherhood between Noctis, Gladiolus, Ignis, and Prompto. All right, now that we've covered that easy breezy context, let's move into talking about the Final Fantasy XV fashion and style. But before we pivot straight to the outfits, I do just want to give a couple of notes on the style in general, as well as quickly kind of identify each of the main 4 characters' style archetype. Okay, so Final Fantasy XV style in general, I think boils down to a couple things. One, I've said this many times, I love when a franchise can bring a synthesis between their typical aesthetic and how they dress and design the clothing and fashion of their characters with something that is more modern and contemporary and progressive. We're definitely getting that blend and that hybrid here, which just easily makes this feel so new. And we're even getting like a little bit of a royal element thrown in, which just elevates the looks to a different level, which I just think it's incredible. It's some of the best fashion that we've gotten out of the franchise yet. And speaking of high fashion, I really love the diversity that we're getting really within men's fashion. I feel like we can get even some stereotypical aesthetics and looks as it relates to male characters, but just with this storyline focusing on just 4 guys exclusively, that really challenges the game and the developers and designers to give enough differentiation and distinction between the characters to let us know that there is some range to men's fashion. Men can show up in unique and different ways from one another. It doesn't always have to be the same one-dimensional approach, which is why I feel like in addition to the storyline, this is so accessible, down to earth, and grounded in something that's a little bit more real. Speaking of diversity, if I had to quickly like put each of the characters in some sort of style archetype box, I would say that Noctis is the moody, punky emo boy. That might largely be due to the haircut, but it's also due to the darker aesthetic. Gladiolus is the rugged Hawkeye. We don't need to speculate. It's written all over him. Ignis is also pretty easily coined, like the sophisticated, high-class guy, easily identifiable. And then Prompto, it's like also punky and alternative. He's definitely in a category of his own. Very experimental. We'll call it experimental. All right, now that I've touched on some style basis, let's move into these outfits. And I'm really focusing on the most kind of outfit-based ones. There's some that look very similar. There's some campy, silly ones and different types of t-shirts, but I just really want to focus on the most stylish ones that resonate personally with me. All right, starting with the royal fatigues and looking at all the characters and how they coordinate together. Love how they're, again, easily identified within a differentiated aesthetic, but their overall clothing definitely works together. It's just darker, it's more rugged, it's giving more mood across all of them, but with different kind of stylistic touches to bring them out and give them a bit of a personality of their own, strictly just out of that kind of moody, darker mode. Noctis, like I was saying, it feels casual. It also feels a little bit younger, which is where I'm kind of getting that like punky, moody, like emo alternative style. But the materials definitely feel expensive. And so that's, I think, what easily elevates this. But we have those typical kind of punk statement, like staples, the gloves, the combat boots. I like the length of the shirt, especially for short sleeve. Fits a typical kind of like Final Fantasy composition and silhouette, but just adds a little extra dimension as well as utility because there's some pockets in the mix. And Gladiolus definitely fits that tougher, rugged guy, like hot guy style, obviously because of some incredible body confidence coming through. And I love how it's just like effortlessly cool guy with just a shirt thrown over top. You don't have to do too much, but the great material coordination between the shirt or the jacket and the pants just looks so expensive with subtle accessorizing. Like not as much, a simple glove, a necklace, and a belt. Like not too over the top, but just enough to show that there's some coordination and thought put behind the outfit. And yeah, Ignis also has a jacket, but his is in more of a blazer orientation. And that easily takes him into a whole nother chic level, effortlessly chic. Even though it's subtle, I like that he has a little bit of color to his outfit. It seems kind of purplish, so I'm definitely like biased towards that and really digging it. And I think it just kind of also shows a little bit more of a softer kind of angle to him compared to the other characters who are just so darker in their overall clothing selection. Overall, a slim, sleek, fitted silhouette, which just feels so buttoned up. You can see that Prompto also has that like typical punk alternative flair to his aesthetic with some of the length and some of the layering going on with like the top and the vests, but something that's a little more edgy and tough. Really get the patterns doing a lot more lifting here to still keep this look elevated. Even though it's casual, it feels more relaxed. It also feels like it's designer, just based on the quality of the design and the materials mixed in. And now looking at their truly alternative outfits, like this is very much different for Noctis especially, but we still get a great glimpse of differentiation and range between each of them. They don't even really feel as coordinated, but I love that because it really helps their personality shine through in a much better and different way. I love this casual outfit for Noctis because it brings him into a whole completely different genre. Definitely feels a lot more kind of urban and street style, which is great range for the character, but still feels moody just with the hat and just the darker tone of the pants, I have to say. But love that vest, love that puffer vest, and just the great layering that he consistently has. But I also like that his gloves are white to just kind of show that he isn't stuck within as much of that darker aesthetic exclusively. He can play around with additional accessories that also open up and show a little bit more refreshment and a little bit more, again, youth, and still kind of staying within like this casual framework, this a bit more trendy style for him. The jacket, because it's black, roots him in that darker, moodier aesthetic, but he doesn't need the hat in order to really emphasize that. I feel like the hat was needed within something brighter, like the vest and the long sleeve shirt he was wearing before. But just as long as you, even with a white shirt, just to give a little extra pop of youth and freshness, the black jacket is doing a lot to kind of bring that in and kind of temper it and keep it in check to still align with something that's a little more reserved and moody, like what he typically wears. Gladius has got it going on. Like, oh my God, it's just so effortlessly hot guy. Like, it just is not even like cool guy, hot guy. He's gonna rock a tank and he's gonna let us know that he's working with full figure. But there's such sharp clothing items. It's almost giving Devil May Cry. Like, it's giving that level of effortlessly stylish, just with the strong biker jacket. Love the pants, and I love that they're brown shoes. Such a great mix of colors that like just shows style. And that utility pouch garter situation is perfect. Even coordinates with the belt. Like, oh, there's just so much to love in this. And I like that Ignis can also work with some additional utility components, like that belt around his waist, but also a little bit around his calf as well. Great subtle asymmetry. And he's wearing suspenders. Like, I'm obsessed with the suspenders. Kind of low-key wish that they were a different color than the shirt. They get a little lost, but either way, we're still getting a sleek silhouette. But even within that kind of framework and composition of an outfit, you can still have something that's a little scrunched towards the bottom. I feel like a little scrunch in the pants isn't necessarily always a bad thing. It doesn't always need to be kind of clean cut. I think that that's what makes this so much more rooted in something casual. And yeah, Prompto just has like this, like this different type of twist to his style that I absolutely love. And I like that the vest like zips up from the bottom. I think I've also said this before, like how I love when a clothing item can kind of zip in a non-traditional way. And that's exactly what we're getting, consistent with his sleevelessness, which I feel like is a true staple to his personal style. And just all the details on the vest alone, I think do a lot to help it speak, shine, and just really serve as a solid statement in this outfit. And I think just having that subtle peak of the red tank underneath is a nice little extra pop of color to not make this feel so neutral and bland and dull. All right, now let's get into more of their royal kind of outfits in general. Great coordination, I feel like, more so asserts their specific roles. Like Noctis is the king, so we're going to see much greater elaboration and a distinct outfit and look for him, while the rest of the crew is more uniformed. So I really like that there's still that kind of dynamic going on within their style, just to kind of show hierarchy. But looking at Noctis's look, really love the addition of the gold detail within this, just to really highlight that royal status that he's embodying. And the cape is honestly a really great addition here, and I love that it's not as dramatic. I feel like a character that is as moody as him could have gone camp. The fact that it's a little bit more kind of cropped and shorter also makes it feel more fashion and real, especially in combination with what just looks like kind of a typical suit composition and structure anyway. But I honestly love it even more without the jacket. Like we get the dress shirt underneath just looks so good. Now when we take the cape and all those extra elements out of the way, like a full kingly suit, like well-tailored, great button work that pops against the deep noir. But I honestly almost love it even more without the jacket. Really just like that we get a view of a vest. The tie just stands out much more as an accessory, and we even get a little bit of like the belt peeking through under the vest. And as far as like the rest of the uniforms that the dudes wear, I also do like that this feels a little modern. Like this does feel like something I've seen on men's runway before, where it's kind of trying to emulate some of that royal knighthood aesthetic. Love all the buttons, and really just how those silver buttons especially pop, given some of the more kind of rustic, bronzy or gold kind of details sprinkled throughout the rest of the outfit. Love the length of the jacket. Love that it kind of opens up with a little bit of a V. Love the boots. I think the boots are doing a lot of work here, but I definitely like these outfits better without the jacket. Like, I just feel like that shirt underneath is doing so much work as a statement item and really softens the bit more of like the costume-ish kind of angle of the boots and actually makes them feel much more practical than they might have been otherwise. I feel like it fits Gladius's style better than Ignis. I feel like it still looks elevated and chic, but there's just something else that's missing. Maybe if it were like had a collar or just had maybe some buttons, it could have better aligned with Ignis's personal style. Really love that Prompto's is sleeveless. It's such an easy way to tailor it to the character's personal style. Like I was saying with Ignis, if there was like a collar or buttons that could have easily fit him, this immediately falls in line with what we expect from Prompto. But can we talk about this Tundra outfit for Prompto? This is easily one of my favorite outfits out of the entire collection for these guys. Like, it completely brings them into something new. I don't usually like these types of boots. I think that they're very stereotypically rugged. I just immediately picture a guy in a flannel shirt and some straight leg jeans wearing these boots. But the fact that it's styled with skinny jeans tucked in, a longer kind of like sweater underneath this, what looks like might be double-breasted jacket, and then a beanie like with some great harness details over top, break it down. And just the fact that there's these fur details from top to bottom, collar to boots, to help us take in the full scope of the outfit. I've said this before. Like, this is, I want this outfit. Getting into their glamour prism looks, this feels much more typical Final Fantasy, like almost what we could have expected them to start this whole game looking like, but love that it's a bit more of an alternate look to kind of show that they can stay within that accessible, real modern like style, but still merge and be versatile and dynamic enough to blend in with the rest of the Final Fantasy franchise and universe. And very well coordinated as a group, but still, once again, enough distinction and differentiation to fit their personal style. I think it was this look for Noctis that really kind of cinched the emo, moody, punky boy aesthetic. A little softer, but it still feels in alignment with his look. And I love the outfit. I really appreciate the vest. Great silver hardware elements that I feel like just really emphasizes a cooler, fresher look with the different shades of like muted blues going on. And he consistently, he's more of like a knee-high boot type of guy. The other guys go into full thigh-high moment, but he's within more of that kind of knee-high with the kind of rolled up pants. Kind of giving a little bit of a Sora from Kingdom Hearts kind of vibe, to be honest. What I love about Gladius's look is that he is in something that is a bit more armored, but it doesn't feel as heavily armored in hardware. That doesn't make it seem so stereotypical. Like there's this quilted, padded effect going on throughout the outfit that helps us take in the full scope of it, but also just is a little bit more of a unique coordinated touch. Like the bracers and even the six-pack element feels like it's a little bit more padded. The texture and the material of the pants feels a little bit different. And we even see a little bit of a woven effect within the boot. And again, it's not too much. He doesn't do as much elaboration and decoration like the other guys. Love Ignis's. Like thigh-high boots. Like, and I think we've seen like knightly characters in other genres kind of have a high kind of armored boot type things like this, but the fact that these look so fashion, the way he wears it still feels very native to a polished high-class masculine style. And I love the utility pouch garter piece that's wrapped around one of them. Great asymmetry between how the shirt falls to one side and even kind of how the collar falls to one side as well. Different type of browns and just even different types of white to help this feel unique, fragmented in a way, but still cohesive. I think it's this look paired with the Tundra one that really just let me know that Prompto has, I think, maybe the best fashion and style out of all the guys in this game. Like, also we're getting a thigh-high boot moment, but it doesn't feel as like too tight and like elite like Ignis. It feels somehow very much more relaxed. It's the black color, but it's also the fit and a little bit more looseness to the boots that I just feel like is really well matched and coordinated with the black elements in the rest of the outfit. I like how he mirrors other people's style, but it still somehow feels tailored to his, as if he's like borrowing inspiration from other people, but really making it his own. I really love this look for Noctis, almost as like an very much alternative, thrifty edit to more of his like royal king outfit with the cape and everything. Like this feels almost like the same framework, but something that is much more personal style, like stripped from that high class elite level and just made anew in a way that feels more boho. How all the different fabric folds towards his upper body and with a little bit of a design and print going on. It's also the color scheme, especially like the pants and a little bit of like the scarf or kind of collar details that he has, just with some great complementary color play there. All right, I enjoyed looking at these outfits much more than I had planned because they were definitely low-key, high-key serving in a way that I didn't expect. I'll try to see what other Final Fantasy I can explore. I think I covered some of the most fashionable to date, but we'll see how it goes. And until the next video, I'll talk to you later.